microphone was muted. That's why. If I was smart, I'd have my phone on to tell me about these things, but I'm not. I'm just a dumb who makes whiskey. Testing 1, 2, 3. That good? Aha! There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, we are back. Uh, if anybody was tuned in, and not many people were, for our afternoon broadcast, you would know that the internet shit out on us, like totally crapped out on us back in around 11:30, and the internet has been down. Internet, cable, phone lines, everything has been down back at the home office. So the Old Humble Pandemic Quarantine Studio is out of service, and you can see where we're at right now. We're at the very gorgeous, albeit unfinished, Old Humble Distilling Company uh, distillery. And I am sitting in where will be eventually, in the next 6 months or so, the actual tasting room. Let's go on a quick tour. Um, Actually, Safety Doc, I'm okay with sending you some merch. We'll talk. All right, well, let's take a quick tour. I don't have a wireless camera, so y'all are just going to have to bear with me on this. Um, but I will take you off the tripod. Take a quick tour of the distillery, shall we? All right, there is my office. It is not a fancy, schmancy, well-appointed office. That is simply a table, a fold-up table, a filing cabinet, and my router box. Um, and you see those little 5-gallon barrels. Those are the barrels that we use for our bourbon. Come Memorial Day, or actually not even Memorial Day, come December 1st, we'll have about 30 of those in-house sitting, aging our bourbon. Then we'll have 30 more at the beginning of the next month and 30 more at the beginning of the next month, etc., etc. Those are bottles. That's what my bottles look like when they're being stored. Let's move the whole. I gotta move my whole damn computer deck. See, this is how much I like you people. All right. Over here is the rack house, or what I like to call the rack house. That is. It would be easier if I didn't have power plugged in. All right. So these are our barrels. You know what's in these barrels? That's a secret. You'll find out in a few weeks. Okay, so we're going to take a quick tour of the distillery. This is what I call the wet wall. So first, look over here. See those big damn tanks? Those big damn tanks hold 10,000 or so gallons of water. There's 4 of them. There's 2 over here, and then there's 2. Oh, God, it feels good out here. There's 2 back here in the back. My security camera's up here. There's 2 back here in the back. There's one. There's this one. Huh. Looks like somebody's been climbing up there. Interesting. Let's go check this out. This is where the All right, we're back in Wi-Fi range. I did not get murdered to death. Don't worry. All right. Although I do think I'm losing my audio. This whole setup is not designed to be mobile. It is designed for me to sit still. All right. So those are the water tanks. Those hold 10,000 gallons each of rainwater. You see the tops of the building over there, the top of this building, all capture rainwater. So the rainwater comes into the building through these pipes, across that wall, into a filter for UV purifies the water, then does a reverse osmosis filter, then comes back through these pipes through here, and into this reverse osmosis filter, where we then collect the water in our storage tank here. This is our brand new super duper efficient steam generator, which waiting on some components to come in, and then we will plug everything in and fire our pot stills, which are right there. The water combines with our grains, which we grind in our grain mill here, goes into the pot stills where we first boil the grains. We boil the grains for, I wonder if I could do like infinity vision. Infinity vision. Okay, so we boil the grains. That's 125 gallons each. We boil the grains and then take the wash and move it over to these two totes, which act as our fermenters until I can get the nice cedar kind. Goes into those two totes to be fermented, where it sits in those fermenters for anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks, anywhere between 10 and 14 days. Usually it's done at about 7, but I can let it sit up to 14 days before it starts to mold and get funky. Hey, Solitude Surfer, cheers. Then once the fermentation is done, we switch the wash from there back to here and run it through. We have 2 columns. We have this one and we have that one. And we run it through our stills, collect up the distillate through the columns, and then it goes over to our storage tanks where we hold on to it until we have enough to barrel up. We'll hold it in those tanks, usually we'll do monthly batches. So we'll hold it in the tank for about a month, and then it goes into the barrels. And then of course, the 5-gallon barrels will be joining these 50-gallon barrels over here in our rack house area. The 5-gallon barrels age for 6 to 9 months. So we really only need space for about 120 to 180 barrels. And if we stack them up, we will be able to fit plenty in that space over there. And then once that time is done, the barrels then come back over here, goes into first they go into these barrels for proofing and blending. And then we run them from these barrels through our filter back into the barrels. We run it through that filter 3 times, coarse, medium, and fine filtration. And then it goes into our bottling barrel, which is that black one, gray one there in the middle, where it then goes into our bottling machine. And that bottling machine bottles up 4 bottles every 27.4 seconds, I think is what it's calibrated to. Let's see here. Like y'all care. 27, let's call it 27 seconds. And then we move the full bottles to this table, which is currently holding boxes, box of filters, box of bottles. We run it through there. Switch it over to this table where we put the corks and seals, run it through our sealing machine or our labeling machines right here. Here, back label, front label, back label, front label. That is a dog bed, which is usually on the ground, but is not on the ground because I was sweeping earlier today. And then once we get the labels on the bottles and they're all sealed up, and we give them a final inspection, and they go into the boxes. And the boxes then go on pallets. The pallets go on trucks. The trucks go to the warehouse. The warehouse puts them back on trucks and send them to stores. And stores, they go into houses. And once they go into houses, they go into bellies, and they go into bellies, and they make you happy. And there you go. That is how we do what we do. So let's get back to the table. There we go. All better. I wonder why my mic got muted. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Um, Speaking of which, not speaking of audio muted, but speaking of snacks, if anybody wants to bring me a sandwich at the distillery, if you're in the Humble area, I'm happy, perfectly happy to accept a donation of a sandwich. I'll buy you a drink. I'm hungry. Um, um, Thanks, Solitude. Solitude thinks I have the best whiskey. I appreciate that. It is mighty tasty, if I do say so myself. And this particular whiskey right here, as you can see, has no label. There's a reason for that. And if you look over here, over my shoulder, those barrels have something to do with that. But that is a discussion for another week, not this week, maybe next week, maybe the week after. Yeah, it is very much like Doc is producing the show from the booth. It's good to have. I don't have my headphones on because I left that at the house. I don't have my lights, so I'm not wearing my sunglasses. I'm wearing shoes today, which is something I never see. I never wear shoes for these shows. But this isn't technically episode 4 of the happy hour because Lisa's not here and I'm not actually going. You know what? Fuck it. Let's go with the format. In fact, well, I can't listen to people talk because I don't have headphones here. Do I have headphones here? Hang on. Hold on. I have all kinds of crap at my desk. You never know what you might find when you go snooping around people's desks, including my own. You know what we'll do? We'll do an AMA. We'll do an Ask Me Anything show. I know I kind of, if these headphones work, which is not at all guaranteed, because they've been sitting on top of and underneath. I can hear things. Holy shit, this is awesome. Hang on. I can hear things out of one ear. All right, that's good. That's better than 0. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We'll do an AMA. We're here. We're awesome. There's your link. Join me if you wish. And we'll do an AMA from the distillery. This would be fucking awesome. There's your link. The link is posted. In fact, I wonder if I can pin that. Let's see here. Can I pin this link? Pin the message. There it is. It is pinned, baby. So there you go. If you want to join me, you can join me. But you know what? Since I have the forum, hi Moose Cow. Since I have the floor, I will talk. Let's see here. What do we have going on at the distillery? As you can see, we have some very exciting barrels aging over here, over my left shoulder. That is kind of how a lot of the work gets done here. I sit and watch the barrels age. More of the work that gets done here is when I'm sitting and watching the stills boil water or boil alcohol. Boiling alcohol is slightly more interesting than boiling water because when the alcohol boils, it boils at a lower temperature for one. But when it boils, it also gives me something. You can hear the fan. But when the alcohol boils, it gives me something better than what it started with. Because what it starts with is like a 5 to 10% or 10 to 15% beer. But when it finishes, it is whiskey, which is fucking awesome. So the idea of tonight's show was going to be talking about the different styles. The different styles of whiskey. A few weeks ago, we talked about the origins of alcohol in general, and how every culture, every people group um, has some kind of fermented and distilled drink that they make. Whether it's fermented bananas, fermented and distilled bananas, whether it's fermented and distilled grains, whether it's fermented and distilled fruits, whether it's fermented and distilled, whatever it is. And historically speaking, uh, fruits were fermented and distilled before grains were fermented and distilled. Um, the first liquors, the first alcohols, the first uh, uh, water of life, whiskey, the first of that stuff was uh, fruit based distillates, which is where you come up with brandy and cognac specifically. But that's where you come up with your brandies, and that was used for medicinal purposes. The Saint Bernards with the little barrel under their neck, that was brandy, usually, way back in the day. Although I think that's mostly a myth. Damn, that is delicious. Um, but each region had its own particular styles of alcohols that were, I don't want to say indigenous to, but kind of native to where they were. Like vodka was native to Eastern Europe, um, and it was made with whatever they could get their hands on, whether it was potatoes or grains or distilled fruits or whatever it was, or fermented fruits, whatever it was that they could get their hands on. The further west you went, the more you had grains or fruits. When you got into the English Isles, England, United Kingdom, Great Britain, I don't know, what do they call the Big Island over there? Uh, what do they call the Big Island? I can ask Google. Hey Google, what is the Big Island called in Great Britain? What is the Big Island called in Great Britain? Big Island, where England is. Oh, shit, Google, you suck. Is the Big in England? What is the Big Island called? Is it just called? It can be called England, because Ireland is Ireland. The island of Ireland is the list the islands of England. What are the British Isles? Great Britain. That's what it's called. Oh, how about that? So there's Great Britain. There's Ireland. Okay. So the further west you move, you get now Great Britain and Ireland and those places. They started using grains, uh, malted grains specifically. You get barley, mostly barley, malted barley, because that's what they had. And that's where your Scotch and your Irish whiskeys came from, malted barley. And in fact, the law in Ireland to define Irish whiskey says that it's a malted barley distillate up to 190 proof, etc., etc., etc. Which is interesting because here in the United States, if you have 190 proof alcohol that you put into a barrel, it's called spirit whiskey. It is spirit whiskey, and it is basically aged vodka. You can add to it actual whiskey, but 190 proof put in a barrel is basically neutral grade spirits put in a barrel, and that's pretty much what we call spirit whiskey. Goodness. Uh, yeah, I lost my train of thought. That's how good this is. It goes right to your brain. It just eradicates things. Um, you know, Ireland also has other details. Triple pots, triple pot distilled whiskeys. That's kind of the classic Irish whiskey, where it actually is distilled 3 times in pots. Um, and that's things like I think your Redbreast. Um, oh shit, I can't think of any Irish whiskeys right off the top. I think Jameson's is triple pot distilled. Um, among others. I'm not as well versed in the Irish whiskeys of the world because I don't really drink Irish whiskeys. Don't really drink them that much. I'm not really a big fan of the various expressions of Irish whiskey, um, but I do like the way they're easy to drink and they're very light on the palate as a result of that triple pot distill method. So there's that. Um, but an interesting fact about the styles of whiskey, uh, and something that we touched on a couple of weeks ago when I talked about the origins of alcohol in general, is that the styles of whiskey were mostly traditional until I hear things over my shoulder. I hear things over my shoulder. We're literally out here in the middle of the woods. I don't know if you picked up on that when I was kind of giving you a walk around. Check this out. You know what? I need this. I need this. Let's take this. Put this here. I want to show you this. Out my front door. Come now. Out my front door. Get my microphone. Get the camera. Let's go for a quick walk. Out my front door. Here. Look at that. We are literally in the middle of the damn woods out here. Now, legend has it, it's not even a legend. It's the stories are the way back in 1996. I can't walk too far away, but way back in 1996, back that way through these trees, about a half mile through the trees. So that road over there is my dirty ass car. That road over there is about 3/4 of a mile that way and about 1/4 of a mile that way. But about a half mile through these trees back that way, there's another road just like this that crosses over. Two of them, as a matter of fact. Um, there's another road that crosses over that way, and there was a woman, a homeless woman, who was sleeping in her uh, what do you call it? This thing, sleeping bag, and she accidentally lit herself on fire. So, rumor has it, the legend is, and it's nonsense. There's no ghost back there. The legend is that on certain nights, you can see the glow of the sleeping bag on fire back in the woods. I've never seen it. I don't think it really exists. It's not a thing. But back that way, about a half mile, uh, I don't. I don't know the details about whether or not she was on all the drugs, but this has often been a place where people were camped out and doing the drugs. Uh, so the legend is that back that way, Mary, Burning Mary, in her sleeping bag, you can see her every once in a while. There's no such thing as ghosts. These are the only spirits that are back in these woods. Um, but there's also a video on YouTube. Let's see if we can find that video of a alleged cryptid. Let me plug this thing in. See if I can find the video of the alleged cryptid. Uh, Cryptid Humble abandoned. See, this is an old neighborhood that never got built, so it's kind of an abandoned neighborhood. Uh, it is not haunted; it's just abandoned. And I will find that video of the cryptid. It is literally either a clothes rack or a stump, but it is not a cryptid. Ah, shit. 366508. So yeah, since the internet crapped out of the house, all my cookies and logins have been evaporated and erased off my computer as well because I had to do a full reboot trying to troubleshoot. So there you go. All right. Let me see if I can find this cryptid. Well, I'll find it in a minute when the YouTubes come online. Okay, I don't remember what I was talking about. Well, I do remember. Yeah, I heard a noise, and I wanted to show y'all what was going on out there. I was talking about the various styles of whiskey. So the styles of whiskey that have been codified into law here in the United States. Well, how do you spell cryptid? Is it CRY? CRYPPID? Humble, Texas. Um, da, 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 da. Virtual tours, cryptids. I'll find it in just a second. See, this is gonna see. I hate looking up stuff like this because it is gonna totally screw up my like searches, and I'm gonna get all this crap showing up on my homepage of cryptids and Bigfoots and all this other nonsense. See what I do for you people? Shows you how much I love you. I'm gonna find wolf-like creature, Racine County. Goodness gracious. I think it's under Haunted, Humble, Texas. That's where I found it. It was Haunted, Humble, Texas Cemetery. So that is the Haunted Cemetery in Humble. Oh yeah, we can look at the videos of the Haunted Cemetery in Humble too. Anyway, so the specific styles of whiskey that they have here in the United States didn't exist before 1900s. And 13th floor haunted house. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking over here on another. I should probably pay more attention to the actual stream. Hang on. Let's do this. Share screen. Chrome tab. Haunted Cemetery. Audio. Yes. Let's take a look at this. Wrong. Got the wrong page. Let's get it right. And again, there's no such thing as ghosts. This is the actual cemetery that I plan on spending the night in when we get our 500th subscriber. Let's get this out there. Add to stream. There we go. All right. I've been to this cemetery several times. It's a nice little cemetery. It's not haunted.
Okay, you said there was a clearing.
There is a clearing.
Barbed wire.
There's no barbed wire.
I don't know. People look out for in here.
They are approaching this thing in the hardest possible way.
Wait, what is that?
It's like over here off to the right is a road in a residential area. They are coming to it the absolute hardest way possible.
See, look how it's cleared them. No, look. There's like barbed wire right there.
And in fact, now there's
cleared out.
There's a front drive leading up to the cemetery. This is back a few years ago when it was still very overgrown.
I saw a place like where someone walked.
When was this? Yeah, this was like 10 years ago when it was very overgrown.
I think it's in here, friend. I think it is.
This shit better not have poison ivy.
I don't think so. What? We're gonna have to help each other down there.
It's not nearly as overgrown now as it was back 10 years ago. It's been cleaned up and much nicer now.
Oh. Maybe that,
but that is definitely the cemetery.
They said there was barbed wire. Wait, what? Let's walk along the line. I guess they have roped it off to show.
And on the other side of the clearing is actual roads. They're, like I said, they're coming in the absolute hardest possible way to come into this place.
Look at back there.
There's like, just on the other side of those trees is a road. Wait, what did it say? I believe these holes in the ground. Yes, that is true. The poles in the ground are for unmarked graves. And there are several unmarked graves in this cemetery. But most of the graves are marked.
Aww. I have video. I don't know if you want. Look, we can maybe go back here too.
And it's much prettier now. There's grass growing. They've cleared out some of the trees, so it's not as thick.
I wonder what all these stakes are for. They like have staked out the whole area. They did say that there was like unmarked graves.
Yeah, let me read that grave.
Oh, I think it is. Yeah.
All right.
Willie Sims.
What's she
Willie
saying?
Sims. Sure.
So you have any like hesitation about walking on graves that are unmarked? Don't walk through this cemetery, because you are almost certainly going to walk over an unmarked grave and walk on a person's final resting place.
Oh, age 11. Look at the flagpole.
See, it looked like
And some of the graves are actually fairly recent now.
Nice, with the flagpole and everything.
1980s,
Yeah.
early 2000s. I saw a couple of them there.
Yeah. I wonder, look at these.
Well, it's not at
graffiti
all an
over here
active
on
cemetery.
the thing. I wonder what the graffiti says. Obviously some-
You know, in as much as they're not actively selling new plots, but there are still people being interred there. Probably folks who, well, certainly folks who had already bought land. All right, that's an airplane. We have a landing pattern over the distillery too, so I wasn't sure if that was an airplane in my headset or in real
Those
life.
posts must be unmarked graves.
So the boundary, the back boundary of the cemetery is that rail line. And as the cemetery stretches out from the rail line towards roads, there's a road called North Houston Avenue that it goes right next to, and then and that's to the east. And on the south side is the 1960 business bypass,
It looks like marble almost.
which is the reason why the cemetery was moved to its current location, because they built the bypass where the cemetery was, which is why they claim the cemetery is haunted, because these folks have been dug up and moved twice.
So it looks like it's all in this clearing here, but it's surrounded completely by woods and a railroad, so there's no way to really get back here besides crawling through the
And a regular
wooded
road,
area.
and another regular road,
And so we're approaching part
and an
of
apartment
some
complex.
cement slab, and there, look at the shoe.
Yeah,
over
on the
there.
north side of the cemetery is a housing complex, like a condo complex. Little one-story, single-family condos.
I think that was, I don't know, maybe part of the
And I don't know what the hell those things are. Not those. I know what those are. The concrete berms. I don't know what those are. I think they might be flood control. They might be
I think we should go back in.
For burning leaves and debris. I'm not sure. We don't need to read about the early schools of Humble, Texas, do we? No. The Thursday night live stream is going on with Jimmy C and friends. We'll go check those guys out a bit. No, not early schools of Humble, Texas. Stop it. I do want to find out. I do want to see more information, though. And this channel, we can look and see what this channel was. Sapphire Cat's Eye. They've got 4,500 subscribers. I'm not subscribed to them. Galveston's. Okay, this I think is where I found the link to the terrible cryptid video that was out in this area, but I'm not seeing it. I wonder if I can search Continental Plaza cryptid Humble, Texas. Maybe this will tell me what I'm looking for. Yeah, all about real estate. Blah, blah, blah. Rentals, rentals, rentals. Homes for rent. Places you should never move to. The weirdest place he's ever lived. Cowboy City, Texas. It is kind of weird. What is this? Homesteading off the grid? No, that's not it. Oh, one of these days we'll just do a pure like YouTube search react video. Hi Moose Guy, you're still here. You want to join me? You're welcome to join me. I could certainly use a second chair. Somebody to talk to as I wander through and try to find the cryptid in Humble, Texas. I saw the video. I know it exists. Well, I mean, I know the video exists. There is no such thing as cryptids. There are animals that we don't know what they are, but that doesn't make them cryptids. And it's not going to be there. Continental Plaza. I'm probably not spelling cryptid right. Oh, let me show you pictures of the cemetery now. Let's do that. Share, stop, share, screen, Pipe Yard Cemetery of Humble, Texas. There it is. Let's show pictures of the cemetery now. We'll scroll through real quick. This is the current Pipe Yard pictures. It is, oh, there's a whole page. Come on, show me pictures. They're not going to show me pictures. Can I make this full screen? I can't make this full screen. We're going to make it full screen. Oh yeah, I can. With this button. Did that do it? No, that didn't do it. All right, so here it is. It's cleaned up. It's greener now than it was on that. See if I can pop this into another screen. Nope, there it is. Yeah, it's greener than it was in that particular video. Of course, they probably visited in like November when everything's brown around here. But there it is. I mean, you can see it's nice and green. That is not the Pipe Yard Cemetery. That is some other cemetery that is on the outskirts of Houston, Texas. Probably the historic Evergreen Memorial Cemetery on the east side of town. But yeah, here's the pictures. It's pretty. It's a much prettier cemetery, and these are the people cleaning it up from the giant mega church on the edge of town. That is not our cemetery. That is not our cemetery. That is one of the headstones. I do recognize the Willie Sims headstone from our cemetery. But it is a much nicer cemetery now than it was 10 years ago, because 10 years ago it was still very much neglected and had not been cared for in probably 50 years, at least 50 years. So, and that is the cemetery in which I hope to spend the night, so that for our 500 subscriber special. Yeah, it's fine, Moose Gal. Just I don't need to. You don't need to have your camera on. Just sit here and chat for another. I don't know. I've already been jabbering on for 45 minutes. We can just chat for another 20 minutes or so and wrap it up. I want to catch up with you. I want to chat with you about all the stuff that I've missed the last couple of weeks. It occurs to me I haven't been looking at the camera at all. I've been looking over here at the computer. Let's see if I can do that. Is that better? Makes y'all think I'm looking at you now. In fact, I could play the is it nonsense or is it a conspiracy game with you, Moose Gal. You can give me two things, and I can create a conspiracy theory connecting the two things. Because I can do that. I'm good at that. Cryptid Continental Continental Plaza. I think maybe I just did haunted sites in North America, haunted South Texas, most haunted town in Texas, haunting in South Texas. So many silly haunting videos. All right, so here's the thing. There are no ghosts. There's no such thing as ghosts. I don't discount other people's experiences. And if you feel like you've seen a ghost, I get that. I feel like I've seen things I can't explain too. I've heard noises I can't explain. I've seen, wispy things that I can't explain. But it's a big leap for me to go from I can't explain it to it must be ghosts. I mean, there's a lot of things that I can't explain that certainly aren't ghosts. Which is one of the reasons why I want to spend the night at a so-called haunted cemetery, because I'll happily live stream the whole damn night from the cemetery. Be like, yeah, I'll leave the camera on. Y'all see for yourselves. There's nothing here. There's no noises. And of course, I hear noises when I go camping all the time. Woods make noises. It's not the great outdoors isn't nearly as quiet as people think the great outdoors is. Squirrels run around and make noise all the time. Birds make noises. They are the noisiest damn creatures on the planet. I mean, you think like animals are quiet because they're like stealthy. They got to be quiet because animals are hunting them all the time. They're not quiet. They're noisy. They crash through bushes and fall out of trees and stomp around on leaves. You just don't pay attention to it nearly as much. They're not nearly as loud as cars and the rest of the stuff you hear in the city. So you don't really pay attention to it. No worries, Moose Gal. Check it. Make sure all your stuff's working. It's cool. It's fine. Let's see here. Haunted. I think maybe it was just. I'm still searching over here on the other screen for haunted Continental Plaza. Maybe that's where I found it. And it's just a short video. It's like here it is. Ha! Found it. Hot damn. All right, we're going to share this page real quick. Check this out. Chrome tab. Continental Plaza. Hit me one time, baby. We on it? We there? Nope. Hold on. Add to stream. All right, here it is. Make it bigger. Give me the make it bigger button. Boom. Make it bigger. It did not make it bigger. I hit the make it bigger button. Moose Gal, check this out. This is the alleged cryptid lurking in Continental Plaza. My neighborhood right here, and the place where this was seen was literally half a block down the street, or seen, literally half a block down the street from the distillery. I heard Moose Cow. Get in here, girl. This thing's trying to load.
Hi.
Okay. Hi, Moose Cow.
How are you?
Check it out. Here's the creepy figure lurking on Continental Plaza. Check it out. It's loud. See it? Right there? Right there in the corner? See it?
I see nothing.
You don't see anything.
Oh, that little like brownish.
Yeah, the brownish looking thing. Yeah. That's what it is. That's
Is that a statue? Because it doesn't look transparent like a human would look like. It looks like more like a statue kind of.
It is a best I could tell.
Do you know what I mean? Doesn't it look more like a statue?
Knowing this area, best I could tell is that was either a tree or, honest to God, like a hat stand, like a coat rack, an actual coat rack sitting out there, because people dump trash out here all the time, or they used to. They don't dump nearly as much as they did, but in that particular clearing down the street from here, there had been for a very, very long time a coat rack standing up next to a tree.
Oh, Lord.
And of course, this was 10 years ago, and that coat rack was taken down about 6 years ago.
So it could be somebody brought it back.
Well, I think it was just sitting there. I mean, like literally somebody tossed it out and it was sitting there for like 10 years or 5 years, because it was gone 5 years ago.
Lord, people are weird.
But yeah, that is the cryptid of Continental Plaza. Cryptid. But so how you doing, Moose Cow?
Frustrated, but I'm good.
Frustrated, trying to get everything everything put together for your next chapters.
No, Instagram doesn't work.
Oh yeah, that's right. You had to get a new account.
Well, no, that's just a backup account.
Oh, okay.
That's why there's a number 2 after it.
I got you.
Because people can still see my account on Instagram, like if you search for it. So I'm thinking now I might be logged out.
Possibly so.
Because originally I had a refresh issue and you couldn't see any of my content.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, because of the data issue with the whistleblower, that Instagram is doing something covering their tracks. So I made a secondary account, because some people, that's the only way I can contact them is through Instagram. So I just made a secondary account and c'est la vie.
Okay. Well, whatever works. Whatever works. I don't know. I've had bad. My internet's been just shit all day long since
oh Lord.
11:30. So. I have a video of the thing at regular speed too.
Wait, what happened?
Hang on, I have a video of this. I found a video at regular speed. Let me.
Okie dokie.
Let me pull that one up. Stop.
Right.
God. All right, stop it. Quit doing things.
I know. Okay. Technology is
Who's
wonderful
here?
until it's not.
Grilling and Chilling's here. Cool.
No.
We'll bring those guys in too.
The bomb.
All right. We're going to share this video and we're going to see the cryptid in real time, but I'm going to get this guy in. Grilling and Chilling. How you doing, brother?
Hi.
I am doing amazing, you guys. How you guys doing? It's almost Friday.
Fantastic. Do you want to see a video of a cryptid, which is really just a tree trunk or a hat?
Well, let him decide.
Let's check it out, man.
Yeah, check it out. All right, I'm going to make it bigger.
Let him decide.
Yeah, I mean, it's either a creepy dude in a hooded something standing next to the road.
I told you I thought it looked like a statue.
All right, so you can see that's Continental Plaza. That's the road that is it's not the road that's out my front door here. It's the road that's down at the end of the building that the building kind of 90 degrees onto. And this particular clearing is about half a block down from my distillery. Here it is, from the beginning. There you go. That's it. What do you think? What did you see?
I saw a road. I saw some bushes. Was there something there I was supposed to see?
Yeah.
You didn't see something that looked round in the distance?
I'll pause it when it's supposed to be there. That is just terrible. Let's see if I can move it back just a little bit. There it is. Right there. In its glory.
Oh, cool.
You see that?
Yeah.
The brown,
Yep.
whatever that is.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah. That is I mean,
So you know where that spot is, right?
I know exactly where that spot is.
Yeah.
I've been to that spot.
So you need to go over there and build like a nice little chilling area. You know?
Right.
See what that spot.
Sorry about that, guys. This guy's barking.
Oh, hey, pup. That particular spot is actually it's kind of it looks like a wide driveway for like a convenience store, like a drive-up space for like what would have been a convenience store in that spot, but now it's just an empty space. So I don't know. What I was telling Moose Gal is that in this area, I mean, this area has been abandoned since the early 90s, and people have dumped stuff all over. I had took a picture of a dog who was in this area, a big dog. He looked like a husky, small wolf, big dog type of not a wolf, most certainly a husky. And there's the dog in the background, and in the foreground is a DeWalt toolbox, or I'm sorry, a cardboard box in which a DeWalt tool had been, not a toolbox, just a box for tools. And yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of places out here you just can't escape the trash. It's been a dumping zone for 30 years almost.
So what year? How old is it? You said
that video is from 2010.
no,
2011.
like the area. Like you said.
Oh, the area has been 1992, 1993.
Oh,
I used to come back here in high school and cause trouble. You know,
nice. Maybe it was your little buddies coming back to visit you.
Yeah, maybe so.
Hey,
Maybe.
by the way, Moose Gal, good to see you. Sorry about that.
Oops.
No problem. So, Joe, why don't you go to this place and take your own footage? If you have time.
Yeah, I mean, I could go over there and just take pictures. I mean, it's all it does. It looks just like the trees out here in front of my shop. It's just, of course, I'm sure I can look back at the footage I just took earlier in this video, in this stream, and I'm sure in the shadows I could point out and find something, some cryptid, something that I can't explain.
Do you believe in that?
No.
The unexplained?
Well, hang on. Let me qualify that answer. I believe there are things I can't explain.
I mean, like UFOs and stuff like that.
I believe that there are flying objects that are unidentifiable and unidentified, but I don't think it's aliens.
Exactly how I feel.
Space is too big. You know, like, well, I was talking with Tanya a couple of weeks ago. You could take a probe and send it out in any direction, any direction at all from Earth, and the chances of actually hitting something are faint, flashingly zero. They're so close to zero, they might as well be zero. Space is big, really mind-bendingly, enormously big.
Big,
and
really big.
I don't even think we appreciate how big it is.
Yeah.
It's just big. You know, when they said when there's, I mean, it's just like most of the mass in our solar system is the sun, and like it takes 8 minutes for light to reach Earth, and light is like really fast, which is a scientific term, really fast. I mean, there's a speed named after it. It's so fast.
Right.
You know, light speed. Anyway. So yeah, no, I believe it would be hard to imagine a universe where there's not extraterrestrial life, but it's equally hard to imagine a universe that's small enough for that extraterrestrial life to reach us.
Right.
So
I know it's just mind-boggling because it goes so far out there, you know, and it's just that's in all directions of where we're at, right?
Oh
right,
yeah,
left, up, down, everywhere, and it's insane to even think about it.
yeah, and there's so much in it, but it's so far apart from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's even at the speeds where, you know, even at like light speed, the fastest speed you could possibly go, the stuff's really far apart. Yeah, there's an object out there like 438b or something like that. That's like a galaxy, and that galaxy is 4 billion light years away. And if those people in that galaxy were looking at Earth, they would be looking down on an Earth that is forming, because they're seeing Earth 4 billion years ago. So just thinking of that, like, where would they go? Like, if you got into your spaceship on that planet, looking down on a forming Earth, and you said, I'm going to go there, why would you do that? You're going to a place that doesn't even exist yet. It's like, and then my brain just like seizes up, and I have to pour alcohol on it to make it function again.
Mom's phone.
It's crazy. You know, I mean, there's Andromeda is like 23,000 light years away. If there was a people in Andromeda looking down on the Milky Way, and they managed to identify, oh, look, there's a blue planet with oxygen and stuff. Like, the planet they were seeing now doesn't have humans on it, because 23,000 years ago, we didn't exist. Like, people, human beings, like our types of people didn't exist. Like, this species of human being didn't exist 23,000 years ago. So even some places close as Andromeda, they're like, why would we go there? It doesn't. It's a mind-shatteringly large distance.
It's just, I can't even. When I think about it, it's bizarre because it's so huge in mass, and you just go, there's got to be something out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and we see planets now that are either forming or half formed and are like in the Goldilocks zone and could sustain life, but those planets are like 400 light years away. So even that close, so 400 light years.
Right.
Think of what we were doing 400 years ago.
Yeah.
400 years ago was the 1600s. We were just discovering steam. We didn't have light. We didn't have electric light. We didn't have engines. We didn't have propulsion other than wind propulsion. We were just discovering mechanical steam propulsion. So if you're on like Gliese 237 or whatever that star is, looking down on a primitive Earth you could see what we were doing. By the time you got here, it would be a completely different place than what you left to go find. Even if it only took you a few hundred years to get here, they would be getting here 200 or 300 years from now, and the world would be an entire. I mean, we could be extinct 200 or 300 years from now. We have no idea what could happen in 2200. What year is it? Yeah, 2220. We have no idea what could happen 200 years from now.
Yeah,
it could be
insane. I mean, 200 years, a lot happens in 200 years.
Oh,
man.
yeah. And I mean, when I look at it from like a systemic type of point of view, where what we're looking at, we know what we're looking at is in the past. So we're literally traveling to some place in the future from where they're at, from where we think they're at, and in the future from where we're at.
That's crazy to think.
Yeah,
about.
it's just like fuck. It's fucked up in my head.
Yeah.
Like we see this place that's in the Stone Ages, and we're like, we want to go there. And then when we get there, they're in like this advanced post-information or post-industrial futuristic area that we have no idea. We have no idea what we're getting ourselves into when we get to this place. And
That's so crazy.
maybe aliens think about it differently than I do, but I mean, they're not dumb. So like they wouldn't just be like, oh look, let's go.
Well, how do we know if they're dumb?
I would assume they're smart if they can build a spaceship that can get out of their wherever their solar system and into ours.
Oh, I
assume they're
gotcha.
relatively
Yeah.
smart. And I also assume they wouldn't send an actual person to visit the planet. I would assume they would do what we do and invade with robots the same way we invaded Mars with robots, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we invaded an entire planet with robots. We didn't send people first. Even the moon, we sent well, no, I guess we sent people to the moon first, but the moon's really, really close cosmically. Cosmically speaking, it's just, right there. But only at night. You can only send people at night. Because otherwise you hit the sun. Then you feel dumb.
It's right over there.
Yeah, right. That way right now. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's actually over
Maybe
there.
it's, I don't know. I don't know where the moon is.
Yeah.
It's in the sky, somewhere up in the sky up above. So did you see the tour of the place earlier?
I'm sorry.
Did you see the tour of the distillery earlier?
Yes.
I haven't. I don't know. No, I don't know. But now, what is it?
Well, I'm in my distillery tonight.
Oh, okay. You're just no. I did not see it. I ended up
Watch
going.
TV.
You know what's cool is I went to a what is it? It's a burger whiskey bar.
A burger whiskey bar.
Yeah, and
All
it
right.
had a whole bunch of whiskeys. And a buddy
Where
from
are you located?
I'm in Washington State.
Okay.
And place is a pretty cool place. I don't know if you can see this picture or not, but I'm gonna show you his wall. See if I can get that focused.
I'm gonna solo you real quick so we
Okay.
can put that on the screen. Boom. Solo layout. Check that out.
It's not gonna focus very well.
Yeah,
But
that is nice.
that's pretty cool. So he has a ladder over there. You can see.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
But pretty neat place. My wife was not a fan of it, so I've never been inside. But I went inside with Buddy, and it's actually a pretty cool place, man. They got really neat food too, really good food.
Cool.
So, but after 100 years, this guy's moving along. He's gonna go, move back east or Eastern Washington.
So he's retiring and moving out?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. I guess that's
Yeah.
cool. Is it cool?
Yeah, it's cool. I'm gonna miss him to death. He's one of my buddies. So
I mean, it's because I mean, there's several bar owners and stuff, small shop owners around here who packed it up and were like, we're going back home to Missouri over the last couple of
Missouri?
years. It wasn't a good thing that they packed up and went back home to Missouri. It was like
What's
they
in
were just-
Missouri?
well, these two people in particular were from Missouri. They're home.
Oh, that makes sense.
And they were like, we're done fighting with the pandemic. We quit. We're going home. But so that wasn't a good thing, but I guess it was kind of a good thing. They can go home and spend their time back at home, but it sucked
Yeah.
for us.
a lot of
We're
people are
selfish.
changing. A lot of people are changing their ways. With
And
what's
that's
going
good, I
on.
suppose. You can't.
Yeah.
A more sustainable lifestyle, I suppose, is.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. My old work with my old job was just unsustainable. It didn't feel like I was doing anything. I wasn't advancing the I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It didn't feel like I was moving forward.
Right.
It felt like I was doing the same damn thing every day, the same.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
How many years?
I couldn't. I got tired of it. I couldn't take it.
Yeah. How many years were you there?
9,
9 years. Yeah.
almost 10. 9 3/4 years.
I'm hitting 25 where I'm at.
Are you now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have never worked at a place for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow, I wish I did that.
Yeah. It's it's
Yeah.
just routine. It's a routine with me.
I
It's
know.
so
That's-
routine. It's unreal.
That's why I'm looking for a new job. I don't want to
Yeah.
do libraries anymore.
Yeah.
So what is your day to day? Can
My day to day.
Yeah.
All right. So I work for. I don't care that I throw it out there. I work for a company called Aramark. It's a uniform company.
I
Very
know
large.
Aramark.
You probably know who they are.
Yeah, they do food, uniforms,
Yeah. We actually.
all institutional beverages and institutional food. They do
Yeah.
all kinds of
So
stuff.
what I just heard. You ever heard of the Kraken? It's a arena. It's the ice hockey that we have up here in Washington
Oh,
State.
okay, yeah.
Hockey team. They are. I just heard tonight that we're going to be doing that arena, but that's a separate. I'm on the uniform side. Food and beverage is another, side.
Uh-huh.
Totally, we're totally different, but we're the same. We're under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
But so I get up 3:00 in the morning. I go do that, and I work usually, as late as 2:00. And then just start doing a side hustle with DoorDash.
Yeah.
And just quickly write my little small town. And then YouTube. And that I stay very, very, very busy.
Huh.
My wife said that she lost me to YouTube and DoorDash.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She didn't, though.
Maybe she misses you.
I know, right? You see her in the background. You see her back there?
I see her moving back and forth.
Mhm.
Everyone when like work here dies down, then I get really busy with YouTube.
Mhm.
And then I like get involved with YouTube and YouTube starts doing stuff. And then work picks up at the distillery all of a sudden. And then like everything on YouTube just kind of falls off cliff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And I kind of got to restart like the engine and the mojo with the YouTube stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, eventually this here in my tasting room where I'm sitting right now, like right here, right there, that is going to be my stage where we have live bands and the
Oh, nice.
camera will be
Oh.
right over.
Dude. Okay.
The camera will go right over there somewhere and it'll be like on the bands and this what we do here with this nonsense will be live from the distillery like every Thursday or every Friday or whenever we do the show.
Yeah.
And we'll do like the live intro scene and then kick it over to the band and I'm done for the night. I'm going to go over there and serve drinks and
Yeah.
whatever. And that's it.
So probably 5-10 minutes from my house, probably 5 minutes. They have a place just like that.
Cool.
It's inside a warehouse, and they have, I don't know if they do live bands there or not. I'm not sure, but same thing as a distillery and a bar and all that.
Yeah.
And then next door to that is a weed store, but yeah. In the same building.
Technically, there's a weed store right down the street here, but it's not like a store. It's a dude. His name's Daryl.
Yeah. Bill, it's your neighbor? No, I'm just kidding.
He's not my next door neighbor. He's just
Yeah.
like down the street in the neighborhood over there.
That's
I don't
funny.
want to give too many details because
So
it's
what's
not like
here?
anybody's watching, but still.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. Is it legal where you're at?
Nope.
Okay. See, that's the
Oh,
difference.
too
It's not
bad.
legal,
So sad
but
for
it-
you.
But
so,
it's not like heavily enforced
so
unless you're a minority.
right. So it's like,
It's
you know what a 7-Eleven is?
Say again.
You know what 7-Eleven is?
Oh yeah, I know what those are.
Okay, so they're like 7-Eleven here. We have them. They're everywhere. You can get whatever you want in them.
Nice.
Drinks, snacks. But yeah.
Cool. So dispensaries are like 7-Eleven.
Yeah, well,
They're like corner
do we even
stores
call
that
them
have weed.
dispensaries anymore?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I guess they are.
They're like corner stores with weed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
It's. I mean, I was surprised in Vegas. In Vegas, they just smoke it right down the street. People are just smoking it all over the place down there.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Well,
up
depending
here,
on the
it's like
venue.
you don't really take it. out there because it's like, you know, walking around with a beer in your hand, and that's kind of illegal. So
Yeah, you don't want to walk around with a beer in your hand, but you know.
yeah,
Mhm.
but it's
But-
kind of it's
But like I was saying, depending on the venue here, it's very accepted socially, depending on the venue. But there's
Right.
also places where you just obviously you're among polite society, you don't do it.
yeah. See, I'm in the Seattle area, so everybody up here are a lot of potheads.
Obviously, makes sense.
But
It's very popular here,
yeah, and you're in where are you at, Moose? Again?
Illinois.
Illinois. That's right.
But I'm not just talking about Chicago. We have dispensaries in the western part of the state. One was having a sale recently. I got it in the mail. So I was asking Joey about it, and he says, forget Illinois, go to Wisconsin or Michigan.
Oh, he even knows all the states. That's so funny.
Because he said, because I'm new to it, so I was thinking of trying edibles, and he says, not in your state because it's too expensive.
Right.
Okay, so how do they send it in the mail? The mail
They
is still
don't.
federal,
No.
and that's
No.
kind of illegal, isn't it? To send drugs in the mail.
I think it's the same concept. I'm
they
guessing
deliver
as
it through the mail?
alcohol. Each state is
Wow.
different.
Okay. Well, alcohol's legal federally.
But
So
you
my
can't. Okay, when I called up, was the place in Illinois with the stouts, Bourbon County?
Uh-huh.
They told me that if I wanted to send to my friends their products, they will not ship out of state because each state is different for alcohol. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming the states that have legal, there's recreational marijuana. We have laws about how much you can have on you. So I'm
Okay.
not guessing you could mail them to other states because it's not all federally allowed
I got you.
because it's a new thing. So if your state's going to ever get on board, you might want to encourage them to figure that answer out.
Yeah, my wife was just telling me that California, you can mail it, I'm sure, just within the state.
I'm going to look this up because I don't know.
Yeah, but that's just within the state because they have like memberships or something. She was saying it's kind of
Yeah.
like wine.
I don't know. It's just it's.
Each
I
state's different.
find it to be interesting because federally, weed is still illegal on the
Yeah.
federal statutes. State levels, they're fine with it, but if the feds wanted to crack down, they could. There's a conflict in the laws between the feds and the states, but the post office is a federal agency,
Right.
and taking an illegal substance per
Interesting.
federal law and putting
Wow.
it in a federal mailbox and sending it, that is, and
That's-
even if it's inside of the state, of course, transporting drugs across state lines, a controlled substance across state lines is one thing, but even transporting it in the post office with the feds, that's,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it's allowed at all, but I guess I guess the feds have more important stuff to deal with because they still do child porn and
Right.
surprisingly enough, these dumbasses
Oh,
mail kiddie porn through federal receptacles, and that's how they get caught more often than not.
Wow.
Transporting this shit across state lines using the post office, and the post office is like, guess what? Now you're a federal criminal, jack off.
Wow. That's
Of course, I'm pretty sure kiddie porn is federally illegal as well.
well.
Pretty
Oh
that's a
yes.
federal crime, as well as state crimes, but Yeah.
this is interesting.
it just gets another investigative body on you.
Yeah.
What's
But you
interesting, Moose Gal? Hit me.
Well, I don't know if this is a good source because this is a blog, but I didn't do proper research here. I
That's
just
all right.
Googled. This is from cannabistraininguniversity.com. USPS guidelines allow hemp in mail, but in 2019, guidelines from the United States Postal Service revealed the federal agency will ship and deliver some cannabis products. But wait a minute. Hemp is a form of cannabis. So I guess you can do hemp products.
All right.
So for example, if you want to ship hemp and CBD products through USPS, you must have a license from the respective state's Department of Agriculture.
Okay.
Um,
So I guess they frown upon it. If I tried to send pot through the mail, I would get in trouble because I'm in
Right.
Texas. But if you tried to send it, it'd be okay if you were licensed in the state of Illinois or
Mhm.
Washington to be able to do it, because they'd be like, well, I guess it's legal in the state, so we shouldn't really pitch a fit. But if they
Yeah.
try it in Texas, we're coming at them.
But the problem is, even though states wanted to legalize it, like in Illinois, people were like, but it's still on Schedule 1. So then when you have a business, you couldn't have the banks,
Mm-hmm.
you had to
It is
have
a
a
banking
cash
problem,
business. So I don't know what we do now in our state, but that was a whole hoopla. So it
'Cause-
has to really come off of Schedule 1.
Because coming from the banking world, I can tell you that certain prohibited businesses from doing business with banks
Yep.
are car washes, strip clubs, hemp dispensaries, or weed dispensaries.
Car
And
wash.
they're not prohibited from doing business, but there's a higher level of scrutiny due
On car
to
washes?
money laundering. Yeah, car
Yeah.
washes are cash-heavy businesses.
Wow.
The
So
coin-operated car washes,
right.
not like regular car, coin-operated.
Okay. So like up here,
For
yeah.
money
So it's a cash only business up here.
Yeah. For heavy cash businesses, banks look askew at it, and for weed businesses, they usually have to wash their money, literally launder their money through
Yeah.
a second
Yeah.
source, so that it can be banked. Because banks won't touch.
So when we were in
drug
Vegas,
businesses, because drug businesses can
Yep.
get the bank shut down
Yep.
and kicked off the
right.
reserve.
So when we were in Vegas, we were able to use our card in Vegas. It was bizarre, which is it's totally different than up here.
Well, and it may be the business that runs the payments is a different business than the business that dispenses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's ways to do it
There's ways
know,
around it. Yeah.
where we sell it to you, but you
Like-
pay them,
Right.
and then
So-
they charge us for processing, or
Oh,
we charge them for processing our payments or whatever.
So it's like if I have a cash app, right?
Mhm.
Simple to give me money, but we put it in a card form or whatever, and you swipe it on the little card reader, and it
Mhm.
goes through something else instead of straight to a bank. And I
Possibly.
bet you that's what they do.
Could be.
Gotta be.
And me personally, when I sell whiskey to somebody and mail it to them, I am personally selling my marketing stash of whiskey.
Yeah.
The distillery has transferred the whiskey to me to personally sell it. So the PayPal and Venmo come to me
Right.
personally, not the distillery. So the
Right.
distillery doesn't sell whiskey and deliver whiskey.
Mhm.
The distillery can only sell on site or to our distributor.
Right.
If somebody in, say, Washington or Illinois or Connecticut or wherever, Waco, wants to buy whiskey from me
Waco.
personally. Yeah.
Why Waco?
okay.
Well, that's another part of Texas.
I know.
I found something else out.
Ooh, what's up?
According to the thctimes.com, just as I suspected, for edibles now, you cannot mail them within the U.S. because it is illegal, regardless of where you are sending it from or to. Because, as we pointed out, marijuana is still on Schedule 1 at the federal level.
Mhm.
And the USPS is a federal organization, you can never.
Right.
And so that is true for any products containing marijuana or THC, for example, vape cartridges, oils, resin, flowers, and so on.
Yeah, it'd be like sending opium.
So how do the stores get their stuff? I guess they
People drive it, I guess.
have to get it locally.
Put it in the back of a minivan and just drive it,
Right?
like
Well,
they did in the old days.
just to
Consider-
clarify, the only exception to the above is hemp or CBD oil. But to legally mail these products, you will need a license to produce industrial hemp, and the THC content of the product to be no greater than 0.3%.
But how about that?
Yeah.
Um,
We got the safety doc back. Smokey and the Bandit. Exactly. There's weed in Texarkana, and there's Jones in Montana.
That's funny. All right, you guys,
Left
I gotta
pound down.
get off of here. But
Alrighty.
All right,
good
Mojo.
talking to you, humble guy there.
Good to see you,
I'll
brother.
pop in. When I see you on, I'll try to pop in again for you guys.
Hey, I'll pop in on your side too.
Yeah, definitely.
When,
Moose.
when I have.
See ya.
When is your regular? I mean, you do live streams. When do you do them?
Yeah, I actually did a live stream today when I got home because I wanted to do this little food review thing from
Oh, I missed it.
Mexican store, and I was being goofy and I'm doing some stuff and noticed that I didn't click the live button, and I'm like, and they're on the chat going, "Hey, when you coming on? What's going on?" So I had to start over. Yeah, so I was like, it was kind of fun but hilarious. That's the thing about live, you never know.
So your regular stream,
My regular stream is actually Saturday mornings. I do a live Saturday morning breakfast every Saturday morning for my buddy. He comes over, and I do a live cook on my deck. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I try to produce a video at least Tuesdays, and in between sometimes, but Tuesday is my regular day.
Let's drop that link. I'm gonna go find that link, and I'm gonna drop it in chat for both of the people watch.
Yeah, it's fun. I try to, I'm not really big, but I have a 3-year plan. So when I retire from Aramark in 3 years, it depends on where YouTube is, what I do, and we're gonna move back east somewhere like Alabama, or, Tennessee.
Alabama.
Or yeah, I know, right? I mean, normally everybody wants to move over there.
Okay,
But
I am not subscribed to your channel. Holy shit, we need to fix that.
what the Sam hell?
I know, right? I'm just a terrible person.
But everybody's
Perfect.
flocking
I am
to
now.
Texas. They're flocking to Texas. They're flocking to Idaho. And
Yeah, but I don't think people are going to go to Texas now.
Well, come to Texas and vote right and solve our hostage crisis.
Yeah. Is that a hostage crisis? Yeah.
However, Austin is still one of the best places to live.
So is Houston. And like all the cities in Texas are some of the best places to live.
Well, I heard Austin. I don't know about Houston.
Oh, Houston's fantastic. But don't come live here because there's too many fucking people here already.
Well, wait a minute. I'm not from California, so that'll be okay, right?
Ah, it's fine.
Yeah, because everybody's moving from California to your state too.
That's what they say. It's not true.
Yeah.
I mean, plenty of people are moving to California.
Yeah, so I have family there. I have family over there in Texas also. So
That's you have family over here in the Houston area, don't you?
I'm not sure the area where they're at, babe. Do you know where they're at?
Like on the southwest side of Houston, down in Sugarland, or?
No, I don't think they're.
Or maybe I'm making stuff up.
No. I think it's kind of south a little bit. So and then
Missouri City, Stafford, Missouri City, Pearland, somewhere around there.
Oh no,
They're in McKinney.
McKinney.
Oh, McKinney. Holy shit! Yeah, that's like on the border.
Is it?
I
Okay.
think.
Well, it's not quite the border, but I think it's above the border a little bit.
McKinney.
But
that's like south. Yeah.
Yeah. But I need to go visit Texas. I really haven't visited Texas.
It's 235 miles away from me.
Texas is?
No, McKinney.
I'm kidding, man. I'm just kidding.
Which is really just a morning's drive.
Yeah.
Angie and what's
And it's up near Dallas.
Athens.
Athens?
Angie and
Yeah, people in Athens too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
the kids' dad.
That is only 157 miles from me,
Wow.
but also up near Dallas.
Yeah. So I don't,
Just a morning's drive.
yeah, I don't know if I could live in Texas or not. I don't know. I mean, we're talking moving to Alabama. I mean, shoot, we'd probably live anywhere in the United States.
You could live anywhere. Sunrise and sunset looks the same no matter where you're
Yeah,
at.
it's just dealing with the humid and the big. They
But
have
Alabama.
bees and spiders and stuff the size of human beings over there,
In Texas or Alabama?
Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, they have some monster bugs out there, but it's all right.
It's a pretty state, though. It really is.
Yeah,
And there's a whole lot of that state that's real pretty.
yeah. My brother has like 120 acres and a nice little house.
And they got rivers and mountains and all kinds of stuff in Alabama. They
Now,
don't have nearly
there-
as much of that stuff in Texas.
Here's the thing about the rivers. Okay, I'm used to like clear rivers where I live. Like you could literally drink the water,
Uh-huh.
just carry a filter and drink it. Over there, they're brown.
Yeah.
Which is
Ew, that's no good. They're polluted.
No,
no,
it's
no, no,
mud.
no, no. It's all from like I would imagine the clay and the just
Mhm.
the stuff like that. There, it's swampy land, man. It's
Yeah.
Oh, I get
It's
you.
all
Okay,
black
okay.
black soil in the black soil in the water. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just muddy water.
Oh, okay. Then that's not too bad, I
I mean,
guess.
some of it's probably pollution, but it's mostly mud.
Yeah. I mean, if you're south, water flows south, right? Does it? I'm not. Yeah.
In the northern hemisphere, for the most part, yes.
So by the time it hits south, I mean it's gone through a lot of stuff. But
Yeah.
the earth filters everything out anyways.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah. All right, you guys.
All right,
I'm gonna
Mojo.
jump off
Get
here,
some
give my
sleep,
wife
brother.
some
Good
go
night.
visit my wife. Yes, good night, Moose. Good to see you. Humble guy. You have an amazing night, an amazing weekend, you guys.
Will do. Good night, brother.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye. I never knew Alabama was pretty. I don't know anything about
It is
Alabama.
gorgeous.
So you've been there, I take it.
I've been, so most of my clients back when I was in the banking world were Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Missouri, Tennessee, and Georgia.
Well, that makes sense because
That
you're
was
in
where
the
most
South.
of my clients were.
So
And
you have
I
the
would,
southern region.
yeah, and I would take a regular trip from Jackson, Mississippi, north to Greenville and Oxford and back south to Jackson. So I've drive all the way through Mississippi every year, once a year,
Mhm.
all the way through Missouri every year, once a year, going from Cape Girardeau or from St. Louis down to Cape Girardeau
Wow.
and tracking a little bit through Illinois on the way back home. And then I take a trip through Louisiana, starting in the south part of the state, ending up in Alexandria, and then hooking my way back to Houston. Alabama, that part about like Alabama and Mississippi are almost mirror images of each other. In that, Mississippi has the Mississippi River on the one side, and Alabama has the Appalachians kind of on the other side, and they're like this little wooded enclave of farmland and farms and forests, all the way through from the bottomlands all the way up to the top part of the state, the highlands of the state, and it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Wow.
In Mississippi and Alabama, like the terrain on the west side of Mississippi and the east side of Alabama are vastly different because you have the mountains on the east side of Alabama and the river on the west side of Mississippi. But in the middle part of those states, it's like just tall forests and it's just amazing, and it's breathtaking and gorgeous. And the cities are compact. They don't like sprawl and spread out like Chicago and Houston do.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you like drive into Mobile, and then you drive out of Mobile, and it's like, of course, Mobile's on the coast, so there's not like the woods on either side of it like there are further north in shit. I've gone blank on a city in northern Alabama, like Tuscaloosa, for example.
Okay.
It's like on the edge of like the mountain ranges, and you can like drive into it, and like you come into the city, and there's the city, and then you go out of the city, and you're back into the woods.
That sounds really nice.
It's
because
not
here we get suburbs, so it's
Well, yeah,
not
right.
really that much different from
but it's
Chicago to where I live.
but when you drive through like Missouri, for example, that's one of those places where when I went into St. Louis, I knew when I was in St. Louis, like the city, there's a distinct border where the city starts. You're like, boom, we're in the city. And that's very much how it was when I leave St. Louis. I knew I was out of the city, and I'm driving through the countryside of Missouri, and then boom, we're in Cape Girardeau. I know I'm in the city. It's a small town, but there's like this transition between not being in it and then you're in it, and then you drive for a while, and then you're not in it anymore, and then you move on. And there's a lot of places. Chicago's not like that. Illinois is not like that. Houston's not like that. Dallas isn't like that. San
Right.
Antonio, Austin, those places aren't like that. In Houston, from my house, from the distillery here, I drive for like an hour or so, and I'm still in Houston when I'm going west towards San Antonio, and the city just kind of gives up. It doesn't stop. It just kind of fades off into the distance, and you don't really know you're not in the city anymore until about 20 or 30 minutes after you're no longer in the city.
Well, the buildings in Chicago give it away because of the skyscraper size.
That's true. That's
And
true.
you
And also
traffic because
on
there's
the
more
outskirts
people.
on the outskirts of Chicago, you have a lot of those warehouses and transfer facilities where goods are coming from either the east and going north and south, or
And
they're
the
coming
sewage.
from. Well, there's that too.
But
But
on the way to my great aunt's house, when I was a kid, I used to go, "Why does it smell?" And my father pointed out it's the sewage. So we would
Yeah.
always pass the sewage on the highway.
see, Ohio, there's places in Ohio that are like that too, where you're not in the city at 1 minute, and then next thing you know, boom, you're in the city. Lima, Cincinnati, Columbus is kind of a smear on the map, but Cincinnati, Lima, Walpock's a teeny tiny little town. Toledo is kind of a smear on the map. There's a big industrial smear along the the side of the lake there, but Cincinnati is definitely one of those towns where you're not in it 1 minute and then you are in it, and you're in it for a while because it's a relatively large city, and then next thing you know, boom, you're out. It's done. It has distinctive borders, but Mississippi and Alabama are very much like that, where the cities are very contained and they're inside of their borders, and
That sounds neat.
when you're in Meridian, and then you're out of Meridian and you're in the wilderness. You're on a. I mean, it's not like you're on a dirt road and there's like trees all around you. This isn't The Walking Dead, but you definitely know you're not in that. Arkansas is the same way. We would drive up to, up through Texarkana and into Arkansas, going to Lake DeGray, where my family would go on vacation, meet up with the rest of my family and go on vacation up there. There was this distinct moment where A, we're no longer in Texas, B, we're out of Texarkana, and now we're on a highway in, there's the median, there's the lanes, there's the right of way, and then there's trees, and we're definitely in the middle of nowhere.
See,
And
I
then
don't know if I would
next thing you
like
know,
that.
we're in Arkadelphia, where Walmart's located, and all of a sudden you're in a city. You're like, it's Arkadelphia. There's 15,000 people or whatever. It's not a bustling metropolis by any stretch of the imagination, but it has the headquarters for Walmart. So it's not a nothing town. It has people in it, and it's active. But the next thing you know, you're out. And
I would like to see all the nature, like how you were describing. It's not just like from a suburb to the city. It's basically the same. Here you get a distinction. So I would like that. But to live in the middle of nowhere, I think would freak me out, because I'm used to going like 2 seconds down the road and I could go get my groceries. I can get all the stuff. I don't necessarily see people. That's a illusion about the suburbs, because the suburb folks stay indoors to themselves.
Nobody knows their neighbors in the suburbs.
But for business purposes, for driving proximity, you don't have to go far.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, we're right off the highway. So it takes us like 25 minutes, 30 minutes to go to Chicago if you drive on the highway. I don't, but everyone likes that location. So
you're relatively close to Chicago.
Mm-hmm. So when these people say, like in LA, when they have to drive like 2-3 hours away because there's too many people, I don't think I would like that.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Popeye's Birthplace?
No.
You know that's in Illinois, right?
No. I didn't know anything about that.
You don't? We went there on one of our road trips. Let me Google it up.
So this is a road trip I have to take.
Yes. It's in Popeye. Popeye's birthplace is in Illinois. It is Chester, Illinois. Let's share
I
this
never
screen.
even. Okay, that must be
It's
the
across.
southern.
It's across the river from Cape Girardeau. I'll show it to you on a map here. Boom. Let's pull up the map. Nope,
So is
that's
that the
Popeye's Chicken,
southern
Louisiana.
part?
Nope, did the wrong thing there. It is Chester, Illinois.
Got me.
Let me find it. Popeye,
9
Illinois.
times out of 10, if I haven't heard of the place, that must be in the southern part. And I actually want to go and see the other part of Illinois. I have no qualms about, people live in the South versus where I come from. We just never traveled that far.
Check this out. That is a
Wow.
statue of Popeye in Chester, Illinois. They have
How did you-
all the characters.
How did you find this place?
We were on a road trip. We had driven up the Natchez Trace Parkway, as a matter of fact. It starts in Natchez, Mississippi, and goes all the way up to Nashville, Illinois, or Nashville, Tennessee. And then we made the next jump up to my lovely wife's dad's house in Wapakoneta, Ohio. And then we
Okay.
went from Wapak over to Indianapolis. And then from Indianapolis down to St. Louis, and then St. Louis down through Cape Girardeau, across the Mississippi to Chester. And let's do that map. Maps.google.com. We went across the river from Cape Girardeau to Chester, Illinois. And we saw Popeye's hometown. And they've leaned into the lore. They have Popeye. There's also, by the way, Metropolis, Illinois, which is home to Superman.
I know all about that.
So let's make this bigger.
But you know what? When I
So
make
over
more
here
money,
on-
like when I have a
Yeah.
better job, I would like to travel. Because I think it would be good to see how other people in Illinois live.
Oh, traveling's fantastic. That's one of the reasons I love doing road trips. You go
But I
into
don't
these little
drive on the
small
highway,
towns.
so then there's like, well, how am I going to get there?
You would be surprised at how cheap you can do a road trip for.
No,
All right, so-
no, but I don't want to, I don't drive on the highway, so.
No, neither do we. And if you can stay at KOAs in cabins on beds if you want to, or air mattresses and tents if you want to. You can
I'm
stay at
not the
KOAs.
rough- But see, I'm not the rough it type.
Well, that's why you can stay at a cabin in a KOA on a bed, and that only costs like $40. It's way cheaper than a hotel, especially if it's a KOA that's off the beaten path.
Cool.
All right, so check it out. There's St. Louis. There's Indianapolis. Chester's the little red dot.
That's why I
Let's
don't
zoom
know
out a little
about
bit further
this.
here. There's Chicago, way the hell up there. There's Indianapolis, Chicago. We didn't go to Chicago. We went up through Wapakoneta is like right here-ish in the middle of Ohio. Somewhere up there in the middle-ish of Ohio. We went through Indianapolis into St. Louis and down into Chester. So here across the river from Chester.
That's neat. I'm
This
going to tell my
is
family about this.
there is Saint Germain right there. Or sorry, Saint Genevieve right there, and that's where we crossed over the Mississippi River, and we went down into Chester, where we
Did
found.
you like the area?
Oh, it was
or-
gorgeous. It was a bunch of cornfields.
Small town, I suppose, right?
Oh yeah, a bunch of small towns, cornfields everywhere.
But did you feel like you were in a small town?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because in my state, there's a big disparity between how people choose to live their life in the southern part versus where I come from.
Yeah.
Like a cultural divide. I don't
Oh, yeah.
mean just politically. It's their
Oh, yeah.
choice.
Absolutely.
And they make a big deal about it.
And when I drove through the handful of times that I drove and visited clients in that area,
Mhm.
there's a distinct difference. There's like a line that's drawn let's zoom out on this map a little bit. See that line right there, roughly here between
what line?
Peoria.
There's all kind of lines.
But this line right here, this the I-74, that I-74 line where Peoria is in Birmingham.
Okay.
South of there is distinctly different than north of there. North of there is like Chicago.
Oh, gotcha.
That whole area north of I-74 is Chicago. South of that is not Chicago. And
Yeah.
of course, like this is all rural area. There's only two places in Illinois, practically speaking. They're Chicago and not Chicago. But north of
Well,
74.
no, I would make the argument we divide in 3 ways.
Okay.
Suburbs. Well, maybe 4. It depends. The suburbs, like where I come from, the western part of the state, Chicago, the southern area, and the collar counties. And I say that because some Illinoisans, as I was saying before, they like to divide it based off of culture.
Oh, sure. I get that.
I'm not saying you should think that way. It's just what I notice.
I'm just saying when we went up there to do our travels and visit with clients, we always called it the Illinois tour or the cornfield tour. We would go up there, we would drive through Illinois, and there was a distinct difference between clients in the southern part of the state and north of I-74. North of I-74 was like the Chicago outlands. South of 74 was the hinterland.
You're not wrong.
Really. Yeah,
You're correct.
It was the rural, more agrarian, more agricultural area. North of 74 is when you started. That was
But
like
before
the
you went on this trip, did you realize Illinois was agricultural? Because a lot of people don't realize because they always think of Chicago, so they think we're not like rural. People miss that.
I knew that parts of that a good chunk of Illinois was agriculture. I always pictured Illinois in the same way I picture New York. There's New York and New York State, and Illinois was Chicago and Illinois.
No, I get you.
I didn't realize how far Illinois or Chicago's influence stretched outside of Chicago.
Right.
But but Chicago's as big as Houston. It's a big damn city, and it's got it's the second city for a reason. It's the biggest city in the Midwest. It has significant influence all over the central Midwest area. But
and we have good logistics, for when we want to ship goods. That's one of the reasons why, despite what you see on the news, businesses still want to flock to Chicago for that reason.
Oh yeah, and I can say without hesitation, when I drove through Chicago, the one time I went on a trip up there and drove through Chicago, I was taken aback by the logistics facilities on the outskirts of the city proper. The warehouse space, the logistics facilities, and all the major companies that you can think of. Procter and Gamble, Tyson. I think FedEx has a place out there.
I think so.
Just any brand that you could think of, there was a warehouse that had their name on it, and it struck me that goods especially come into this one place, get broken out, put on trucks, and shipped out to all different directions. And it's not different. It's not vastly different than places here in or out on the outskirts of Dallas. Not so much on the outskirts of Houston, because Houston has a big port, and then a lot of our stuff in Houston just goes from ship to truck and out. And then they go to logistics facilities on the outskirts of Houston or on the outskirts of other cities where they get broken up and then distributed out to further places. But LA has the same thing. Chicago, Houston. There's these major logistics hubs just outside of these urban areas that then feed the rest of the states, the regions that these places feed. And I'm sure Chicago's logistics hub feeds, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Kansas. Milwaukee, every state that touches
I'm not
Illinois.
sure about Milwaukee. Sometimes Wisconsin does better than us in areas.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Because they used to be one of the best places for education.
Yeah. And you see, that used to be what Galveston was prior to the hurricane of 1901, where Galveston was the big logistics hub.
Wow.
on the coast of Texas. But Galveston got wiped out by that hurricane, and everything
Oh, that
moved inland by
sucks.
9 months. And that's how Houston became Houston.
So when were you in Chicago?
Oh, geez, probably 2017.
Do you think you would like it today from what you know of Chicago?
Yeah, 2016, 2017 is probably when I was driving through the city. Because I ended my service with Regions in 2019. So, and the road trip that we took through Chester, right here, I still have this map up.
That's cool.
The road trip that we took through Chester was probably 2015, I think.
Cool.
So check it out. Here's the Natchez Trace Parkway. Zoom out a little bit. Natchez, Mississippi
I never
starts
heard
here.
of it.
Natchez.
Yeah, I've never been to Mississippi.
Yeah, Natchez, Mississippi is here. Come on, give me the button. Show me the thing. So Natchez, Mississippi is there, where that
Okay.
green button is.
Right.
The Natchez Trace Parkway goes up through Jackson, Mississippi, there, and up into Nashville, Tennessee, which is right here.
That's
Where is it?
cool.
There's Birmingham, Alabama. Where's Nashville? There's Memphis, Huntsville.
Huntsville's Alabama.
There it is, Nashville. So the Natchez Trace Parkway goes. It is a national byway that has limited access, and it goes up through all these trees and stuff up to Nashville.
That sounds nice.
Look it up. It's about 450 miles. It is a gorgeous road. You can drive it in 2 days. We drove it in 4.
I hear
That's
Nashville is the place to be.
Right. Nashville's a fun place. I don't remember where we stayed when we went to when we stayed.
My
in
brother
Nashville.
went to Nashville with my sister-in-law. They raved about it.
Did we stay in Nashville on that trip? I can't remember if we stayed in Nashville or if we went somewhere else after Nashville. But we went on this particular trip. We went from Natchez, Mississippi. Let's see if I can. I wonder if I do Natchez Trace.
See, I don't. Is it
Oh,
like
look,
to live
Natchez
in the
Trace Parkway.
South? I
They
don't
should
think
see
I
if they
would like
highlight
to
it.
live in the South, but I think from what I hear from a travel perspective, it would be cool to see.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous.
Like, I know so many people, despite the news about Texas, they actually rave about seeing Texas, believe it or not. You don't know how many people that told me they've been to Texas and they recommend everybody see Texas.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous state, no question about it. And
San
but
Antonio, people tell me. You must
Okay,
see San Antonio.
so this yellow line that goes up, not the highway 81, the yellow line that goes up, that's the Natchez Trace Parkway. This here in the
Whoa.
middle, Natchez Trace Parkway goes past Jackson, not into Jackson, past Jackson. And then this yellow line in the middle is the parkway, and it goes all the way up to
It's huge.
it is. It's extreme. There's the parkway, it goes up here
Where's it end?
through Tupelo, or nearly through Tupelo. It goes all the way up to Nashville.
Whoa.
And it's limited access, and it's absolutely gorgeous, full of historic sites, full of Indian burial mounds and historical sites and historical everything. We drove that, went through Nashville, up through Kentucky,
Did you
up
go
through
with your
Louisville,
kids?
through Cincinnati, and up to we had a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Was it like exciting for them?
Oh yeah. Well, the 2-year-old slept through a lot of it, but
Oh,
the
that's good.
7-year-old loved it. And then we went up here to Wapakoneta, which is where Neil Armstrong was born.
Oh,
And we stayed
now what state are
in
we
a little
talking
town
about?
called Cridersville, which is right up here somewhere. There it is.
Is this
Cridersville.
Tennessee? No, this is
That's Ohio. That's Ohio.
Okay.
And then we drove back through Indianapolis and went to Linderlost Farms in this area, stayed at St. Louis, saw the Arch, and then that's when we drove our way back south, cut across the river at St. Genevieve, went to Chester, and cut our way back across. Where am I? over here. Went to St. Genevieve, cut our way across, went to Chester, cut back across to Cape Girardeau, came down through Arkansas, which is over here, stayed in Little Rock, and ate at a Waffle House where we saw a guy who looked like Santa Claus, and I'm pretty sure was the real live Santa Claus, just on vacation because it was summer.
Wow.
And then we drove our way down through Texarkana, hit Highway 59, drove down Highway 59, stopped in Marshall to see, that's Jasper, that's not, where's Marshall? Marshall, Texas was the site of the Missouri government in exile during the Civil War.
Oh.
That's Beaumont. Where the hell did Highway 59 go? There it is. Came down through Highway 59. Marshall, Texas is right up here. There's Henderson.
How far is that from you?
Marshall is about, I want to say not 3 hours, like 2 hours north of me.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not bad. I mean, it was a nice trip on the way home.
So how many days was this whole trip you did?
This trip was a 10-day trip.
Wow, you did a lot.
And most of it was spent, like most of the nights were spent at KOAs and campsites. There were a few nights that we spent in hotels. Like the total cost of the 10 nights, like 10 nights, not counting food. Because what we did with food is we literally went to a grocery store, bought a pantry of food, and kept it in the car. So we ate lunches. Lunches were sandwiches that we made for picnics, and dinners were food that we cooked on our own. Sometimes we went out and ate, but usually it was food that we cooked on a grill. So the food bill was relatively negligible. We might have spent like $200 on food altogether for the 10 days.
For vacation, I would say that's relatively cheap for food.
Yeah, and for housing, for overnights, for accommodations, 10 days, I think we may have spent $600 total, maybe.
That really isn't a lot.
Because it was like $40 or $45 a night when we stayed at places. I know we stayed in a hotel in St. Louis.
Well, St. Louis, you don't want to do anything but that because St. Louis is bad. No, I'm not kidding. We get news all the time.
I know.
I'm afraid to go to St. Louis. I've never been there.
I live in Houston. St. Louis doesn't scare me.
But you understand, I only hear the bad parts of Missouri.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I
you hear
never
all the bad.
anything positive.
It's a charming city. It's absolutely lovely.
So did you feel unsafe in St. Louis is what I'm getting at?
No, I don't feel unsafe. I don't feel unsafe anywhere.
Because that's the feeling people get of Chicago. They're like, because of all the stuff you hear on the news, I'm like, there's more to Chicago than violence. So same with St. Louis, I'm sure.
I've spent 3 nights in Chicago. In all my life, 3 nights, 4 days, 3 nights. One of those nights, I went out at 1 o'clock, walked out of my hotel room, walked down the street. Yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, where were you? The Loop?
I don't have any fucking idea where I was. I was in some hotel.
Because if you were in the Loop, you're fine. If you were on the south and west side,
downtown somewhere. But I couldn't point to it on a map. I don't know where I was, but it was deserted. There was nobody there. And it was just like this is like what's all the hubbub? I mean,
because that's not what you get on the news.
Donald Trump is like, you're going to go out and get shot in Chicago because Chicago's blah 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 blah. Like this, there's nobody fucking here who's going to shoot me.
No, let me tell you, we get stories on the news, and we're like, why is the kid out in the streets of Chicago at 1 a.m? Like a lot of times we hear people are out, so that's surprising. No one was out
because I was looking for weed, is what it was.
So you were probably in the right part of the city.
Probably so.
You were in the Loop.
Now, what's that street called? The Miracle Mile, the big like 8-lane road that's right down the middle of town.
You mean Magnificent Mile?
Is that what it is?
No, that's what we call the shopping area.
I think I was near that because there was a big wide road that had a bunch of
Oh,
shops.
there's Congress Street.
So I might have been near that. I'm not, honest to God, I was looking for the Bean and I had no idea where I was. It was probably nowhere near it.
Oh, the Bean is the park.
I mean, it was
Millennial
1 in the
Park.
morning. I was bored. I couldn't sleep. And I'm like, I'm going to go for a walk. Maybe I'll get shot like everybody else does in Chicago. This will be fun.
You just never know anymore.
Yeah, I'm just a troublemaker. That's what it was.
But I mean,
Anyway, that was our Natchez Trace road trip, and it was fun. It was amazing. My lovely wife plans all these trips. And
That's
by the way,
cool.
if you're watching, she can build you an itinerary for your road trip. Tell her where you will start from, where you want to go, and how many days you want to spend. And she will give you an itinerary full of stuff that you can just mark stuff off the list that you want to do, mark stuff off the list that you don't want to do, and just go do that stuff.
Because
It is
that's what I was
fantastic.
wondering.
Yeah, she can hook you up. If you're like, I want to start in Chicago and I want to go to Oklahoma City, she'll be like, I got you, fam.
Really?
she
She
will-
likes to do that?
No, if ever she gets like annoying and just like chirpy, I can say this because she's not watching. If she's like, I want to talk to you, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, look, honey, I want to go on a road trip to Connecticut. Hook me up. Boom. She's occupied for the next 3 weeks.
That's cool.
Yeah, fantastic. She has this cool mind for this sort of stuff.
My parents used to do vacations like you're describing, road trips, and then they would see stuff along the way. Because before I was born, so that was before 79, my father didn't have his own business. So that's how they did it. I've never done those kind of vacations that you're describing. We would fly into, like, for example, LA, and then we would rent a car and we went on the coast of Highway 1. But I've never really done what you're describing. I actually vacation lab luxury because I'm the youngest and father had more money. And I did things most kids didn't. Like by the time I was 18, I've been to Greece.
Nice.
So I kind of want to do what you did because I want to see more of where we come from, and get a different perspective so I can try to understand different thinking.
Well, I tell you, it is an entirely different world when you're going into places like in rural western Nebraska. It is completely different from Houston or suburban Chicago or suburban Houston for that matter. I mean, you go into towns that they don't have enough money in the town to support like a Dairy Queen or a McDonald's.
I don't
there's just not
understand
enough
why
cash.
they think that's bad.
There's not enough cash sloshing around for them to have enough disposable income to be able to support a fast food joint, which in one case is good because there's no fast food joints and you can actually go to the restaurant that's owned by Earl and Mabel and you can go talk to people in the town. But on the other hand, like nobody has anything, but like it's a self-sustained like community for the most part. But a lot of times those communities, the people in those communities go out and they have jobs elsewhere and then they come back and they sleep. And the communities
I get what
are
you're saying. The dollars don't stay in their little towns.
Right. The communities are dying off.
But in some
and there's
ways,
no investment and they're not growing. And it's troublesome because nobody, like the people don't have money in their pocket. And
it's a twofold problem.
It's
One,
a macroeconomic concern.
Well, this is why I personally think. One, the kids people our age and younger don't want to stay in those towns because there's nothing to do. And they're at the age to socialize, so they want to be where more action is. And number two, I think those towns do it to themselves without realizing, because they vote for the people that complain everything costs too much money. And then they have nothing to do in their towns because they don't have the money. So they have to start making investments again. For example, one time my grandma said the best thing she ever saw in her life was when electricity came. Because my grandma ended up living until 102. She was born in 1914. So it's not like we never had to make investments before. So I don't understand why they want to live like that.
Yeah. And in some cases, the investment is simply making an annual commitment to a harvest festival or a spring festival or some kind of festival something, some kind of
Right.
civic thing,
Or tourist
whether it's a 4th of July parade or a Christmas parade, or like in Wapakoneta, perfect example, they do a First to the Moon festival every year
That's
in
cool.
mid-July, because Wapakoneta was the home of Neil Armstrong, where Neil Armstrong was born, and that city was the city that put a man on the moon.
But see, I like that idea. We don't
No,
really
it's-
do that where I come from. We have
and it's-
festivals.
Yeah,
It's more
absolutely.
for money. There, it's more for community. See the difference?
And the
And so I
difference
would rather
being,
be with community.
but well, in some cases, towns do that specifically for the community.
Right. It's a twofold.
And you know, if you do it well, you can make money off of it. But if you do it at all, it's to build community. And we do it here in Humble. We have a Good Oil Days festival every spring.
You have a what?
We have a Good Oil Days.
What's that?
Humble is an old oil town.
Oh.
Humble Oil and Refining Company was born in Humble, Texas. It eventually became part of ExxonMobil.
Gotcha.
Standard Oil bought Humble Oil, and because of the laws in Texas at the time, Standard Oil couldn't fully consume Humble Oil, and they had to merge, and they merged into a new company, which was Exxon. And
Oh, that's how
later
that
on,
happened.
Exxon bought. Yeah, that's kind of why it happened.
We used to get ExxonMobil in Illinois. I don't know if we still do.
I'm sure you do. It's
I don't know. I know I see
it's
BP
interglobal.
everywhere. I see BP.
Yeah.
When we used to have Citgo,
Mhm.
that was owned the Venezuelans, and then that went bye-bye.
right.
And now we can go to Costco and get gas, whatever they sell.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, we do a Good Oil Days festival here in town, and it is a very indigenous type of festival. It used to be done by the Humble Civic Humble Chamber of Commerce, but now it's
Okay.
done by the city itself, and it's seen better days. But one of these days, it'll the businesses are getting involved again. They want it to be fun because it draws people to the city and it's fun to do. But it also draws the city together, and it's part of our city, our civic identity.
That's cool.
And we do the Good Oil Days Festival. We have Christmas parade. We have we used to have a 4th of July parade. I don't think we do that in the city anymore. I think it's kind of moved out to the communities around the city. But that's stuff that you do, that communities do to build community, and it builds the community together. That helps the community keep its identity. And if you do it really well, you can draw people in from outside of the community and build your city and build your community. But to do that, it takes money, and it takes interest, and it takes involvement. And there's a lot of these small towns that you drive through when you go on road trips that have part-time mayors or volunteer mayors, and that means that the city doesn't really have enough money to do stuff like this.
Volunteer fire department.
And if the city doesn't have enough money to pay its mayor, they don't usually have enough money to have an annual festival.
But like I was alluding to, if they don't put the connection together, that they're voting for the people that sustain that way of life, then what can we do?
Yep. The city slowly dies and vanishes.
Because how do
we
you
have
think
a lot
we
of those
got
towns in Texas.
electricity? How do you think we got electricity to those areas? That's exactly how.
It wasn't voluntary.
Because we helped them. And you would think, I mean, maybe they don't teach the history of their places. Like, how do they not know? Like, because when my grandma was explaining about electricity, I was like, well, how do we get it? Because no one ever teaches us. So I was reading about it. And the big companies didn't want to go to the small places. That's why. Why do you think we have the U.S. Post Office?
Mm-hmm. Well, the USPS delivers everywhere because it's in the Constitution, but small rural towns have phone and electric because there was a concerted effort in the 1930s to make that happen. Like every
Exactly.
single person in the country paid an extra buck on their electric bill in order to make sure that every single person in the country had electricity.
Right.
There was a big federal push to electrify the country and
That's the
draw
world
people
I
out of
want to live
poverty.
in.
Yeah, that's the world we used to live.
Well, no. You
As
and I were not
recently as the
born.
1980s, we lived in that world.
I wouldn't
As
know. I was
with
born in
all the
79.
problems that we had in the 1980s, we lived in that world. Like the rural assistant, I don't remember what that was called, but I think that came off our bills in the mid 90s. I think they did away with it because they were like, all the rural areas have electricity now, so let's stop paying that bill. But now it's broadband and all the other stuff. We should still be,
But
we
I
should
get
still be
what you're
doing this
saying.
shit.
But I get it.
Yeah.
So what they have going for them is nature.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who go to those towns, they say it's so beautiful in the southern parts in the southern states. And
Well,
I hear
and-
Utah is beautiful.
Also in the Midwest and the Northwest, and that, like, there are parts of this country that you have never heard of, you didn't even know existed, like the falls in Georgia. Did you know? Let me find them.
Wait, what's it called?
Hold on.
All right.
The Gorge.
Oh, I know nothing about
Hold on.
Georgia. I've never been there.
Cholula Gorge State Park in Georgia. This was another one of our road trips.
Ooh.
Cholula Gorge, the largest canyon in the eastern United States.
Who knew?
Is Cholula Gorge State Park. Let's go to that webpage, shall we?
See, when I think of canyons, I think more of Arizona area region.
Oh yeah.
Not Georgia.
Well, the western states, obviously, they have their canyons. We have our canyon here in Texas, the Palo Duro Canyon. They have, of course, the Grand Canyon, the canyons in all of the western states. But Cholula Gorge is absolutely stunning. I mean, it is the largest gorge in the eastern United States. This is what it looks like. We camped there one week, or 2 nights we camped there. It is, absolutely stunning. It's got 7 waterfalls that built the gorge, and it is ancient. It's older than the Grand Canyon, and it is just absolutely. Oh, let's watch the video, shall we? And it's
I
just
can't get over
absolutely
how
gorgeous.
beautiful.
One of the tightrope guys walked across it on a tightrope back in the 50s. Shit, this is a 15-minute
I'd be so
video.
happy if I was here.
Look at that. And the hike down to the bottom is like 700 feet down. It's not as deep as the Grand Canyon, obviously, because it's eroded away over its lifetime. But it's breathtaking.
Hundreds of thousands of years ago, when the Appalachian Mountains already were old and weathered, Cholula Gorge was new. A great fresh gash in the earth, fashioned by powerful forces of nature.
Wow.
So I guess it's not older than the Grand Canyon. It's younger than the Grand Canyon,
Today,
but
Cholula Gorge is a place marked
it's still
by
growing.
contrast. A place where boulders seem
Reminds me of
tossed about
Minnesota.
like pebbles,
Parts of Minnesota look like this.
where
Okay.
sheer rock walls plunge more than 600 feet to the river below.
Let's fast forward a little bit.
And when I see the beauty of the earth, I don't understand even a company how they could want to destroy it. It's so beautiful.
But news of
Once they find gold, that's pretty valuable.
dozens of hotels and cottages had sprung up around the
Yeah.
gorge.
See, it was a bustling little
Regular
place for a while
crowds of
until it became a
tourists
state
flocked
park.
to Cholula Falls.
There's a lot of these places that were commercial areas
Just
in the
sightseers.
falls.
entrepreneurialist
Kind of fell off
opportunity.
the map.
The growing town of Atlanta, 90 miles south, had an insatiable appetite for electricity.
You get that? 90 miles south
In
is
one of the
Atlanta.
great
So it is
engineering
right
feats of its
outside
time,
of civilization.
a dam constructed at the top of the gorge harnessed
I knocked
the
over my
water
microphone.
of the
That was loud.
Cholula
Sorry.
River.
Careful.
Yeah.
In September of 1913, 12,000 kilowatts flowed.
See, this is
That's
what
not
we
the
were
coolest
talking
thing
about.
about it. Like the coolest thing about it is the dude walked across it on a
Once
tightrope.
again to Cholula Gorge.
There it is.
Wow.
Check it out.
In July of that year, thousands of curious
That's crazy.
onlookers gathered to watch Carl Wallenda walk from rim to rim.
One of the flying
on a
Wallendas.
wire
And that
stretched
tower is
high
still
above
there
the gorge.
on the lip of the gorge. You can hike to that tower and see where he walked across the gorge.
What bravery. I'm afraid of heights, so I don't know how they can do it.
Yeah. It's pretty
Today, for a few weekends each year, the thrills.
cool. All right.
It's gorgeous.
It's a really cool place. We went there, I think we were there in the summer. Might have been there during spring break. I can't remember. But it is a gorgeous place. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was spring break. I'm pretty sure that was one of our trips that we rented. Yeah, that was the trip where we rented the. No. Okay, so we took one trip where we rented a RV, and we went out to visit my brother in Savannah and drove back. This was the trip where we went. This was the trip where we went up to Wapakoneta for the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. We went up there for the festival and came back down. We stayed at Cades Cove, went to Cholula Falls or Cholula Gorge, and made our way back home that way. I remember. We have several road trips in the books, and it's hard to keep them all sorted. Should probably write them down sometime.
I want to know what the prettiest state is.
The prettiest state. That's a good question.
Curious. Oh, 21 plus most beautiful states in the United States.
I think it depends. I mean, there's different definitions because you got you got Hawaii that has the volcanoes and such.
Mm-hmm.
You have Alaska that has the snow-topped Denali Mountains and the ice pack and everything. You have California with the beaches and mountains. You have Texas with the beaches and plains and mountains
Texas
in the
has
west.
beaches?
Oh yeah, we have gorgeous beaches, especially in the south.
Who knew?
Around Corpus Christi, it's just white sand, gorgeous blue water, unbelievable. Louisiana with their swamps and trees, it is a very stark, rural, gorgeous place to be. But and not just the natural beauty, but New Orleans is a gorgeous city. Parts of New Orleans
I've been there.
Gorgeous. Natchez, Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana. There's plenty of places, cities that are just absolutely gorgeous.
Louisiana is pretty, but don't go in August because it's very hot. No, because that's what we did. Because when I was growing up, we either went for Easter time because I went to Catholic school, and since Daddy owned his own business, we went on 2 vacations. He divided up. So, and then we had to go in the summer, so I wouldn't miss school. And
I've got family in Natchez.
It's too hot.
Yeah, I've got family in Natchez, Louisiana, so we went there all the time. Every couple of months, we'd go up there for a weekend, and it just we were always there.
So let's see what this list
But
says.
Mississippi and Alabama, they have their mountains and they have their woods and they have their beaches. Florida, they have the beaches and they have the swampland. Swampland can be gorgeous.
I don't really
in the
remember.
right context. If that's the sort of thing you like. Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky, both gorgeous for different reasons. And then you head back over to the west. You've got Arkansas, which just has its natural beauty. Oh, by the way, Arkadelphia, where they have Walmart, you would not expect to see so many Chinese food places in a place in a small town in the southern United States, but there are so many Chinese restaurants in that area.
In where?
Arkadelphia, Arkansas,
Wow.
because Chinese factory executives come to visit Walmart.
Oh, heck. You got a point. Check private chat.
You wouldn't expect to see them, but there's a whole lot there.
Okay. Check the private chat.
Oh, okay.
Because I sent you the link to the place where they say it's the most beautiful. Before you look on it, what do you think number one is? Or did you see? In
What
your
would
opinion,
I think is
what's
the
yours?
most beautiful?
For you.
Vermont. I would say Vermont.
Okay. This is from
Let's see.
allamericanatlas.com. They put Oregon.
Oregon, really? I guess so. Tall trees, mountains, beaches.
I was gonna say Colorado because I've seen pictures of Colorado. Colorado's third.
All right. Colorado is also a gorgeous state.
My niece lives there.
I've been to, I think, 27 states. I have to double check the count. I can't remember.
All right, I'm gonna look.
What the current count was.
Let me see.
But I think I've been to 27, and they're all gorgeous in their own way. You don't expect Nebraska. The western part of Nebraska is so distinctly different from the eastern part of Nebraska. And it's the western part of Nebraska is rugged and jagged and harsh, and the eastern part of Nebraska is cornfields. You just don't expect the drastic difference between the two different sides of one single state. It's fascinating, and I love it. I love traveling. I love seeing new things. When I retire, we're probably going to buy a Winnebago and travel the country.
That's my dream to do that.
South Carolina is number 2. Big city feel in Columbia. And see, that's one of the things. Like, some people find the big city to be gorgeous. Like, they want to go to New York City and experience the big city, and they think it's pretty and amazing and gorgeous and fascinating. And that's what they love, and that's cool. That's what they get. I find the city to be amazing and cool, but I want to see. I live in a city. I want to see something else. I want to see. I mean, I don't really want to see farms necessarily, but all right. So Colorado is number 3, with the majestic Rocky Mountains everywhere. Fair. Oh, by the way, I want to wrap this up in about 15 minutes, if we can. Yeah, we're at 2:22. I want to wrap it up at 2:30.
Not a problem.
And the website quit loading. Great.
Okay, because I'm trying to figure out how many states
still
I've been
to. The states we visited are pretty much the southeast, everything over to Arizona in the southwest.
I've never been there.
Up through the Midwest to South Dakota and Ohio, Michigan. I've been to Wisconsin. My wife hasn't. She's been to Montana. I haven't. I used to have one of those maps filled in that had all the states. I'm pretty sure my count is like something like 27. Everything north of New York, I haven't been to. And south of New York to South Carolina, I haven't been to any of those.
Oh, thank you. That counts. I've been to South Carolina.
So like North Carolina, Virginia. I've been to Virginia. I've been to Maryland too, actually. I guess I've been to all those. But not Massachusetts or New Jersey or any of those places.
I've been to 12.
Okay.
So I've been to California, New Jersey. Oh, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I think I was there.
Hey, Cindy's here. Hey, Twisted. Oh, Lone Star's rating us. See, that's where I wanted to go at 2:30. I want to go see Lone Star.
2:30?
Well, 2 hours and 30 minutes.
I think the coolest thing I did was I went to Washington, D.C. and saw the White House.
Ooh, that's cool.
But you're only allowed, no matter who's in office, you're only allowed to see certain rooms.
Right.
And we went there when Clinton happened to be president.
Oh, so you had to
Because
disinfect everything.
my mom asked me, where do I want to go? And I chose Washington, D.C.
Well,
I
cool.
was maybe 11, 12. But I honestly think, unless your kid really loves history at that age, wait until they're a little older.
Yeah, middle school, high school.
I
is a
didn't
better
like
time
it
to
as
go
much
visit.
as I thought I would. Now
Yeah.
I would love it.
Yeah, true that. Hey, since we have the raid, why don't we take a quick tour of the distillery, shall we?
Okay.
How's that sound?
Good.
How's that
And I'll
sound?
be right back.
Lone Star and his crew is visiting. So check this out, guys. We're going to go on a quick walkthrough of the distillery. How's that sound?
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody from Lone Star's channel. I'm going to come over and visit with y'all in just a little bit. But check this out. We are not in the pandemic studio today. We are in the distillery studio, the actual Old Humble Distillery. Check this out. This is the outside of our distillery. We are in the woods. This is the woods of outside our shop. Over here, I can't go too far because the Wi-Fi doesn't stretch particularly far. But you can see the woods. This is where we do our business at night. Well, usually it's during the day. But over here, we have our rack house. And in about 5 months, we're going to have 30 barrels a month joining these 7. We have our bright storage tanks here. We have our 2 money makers, the stills. That is J-Lo's booty and Shakira's booty right there. Our money makers, get it? Over here is my office, which is nothing more than a table and a filing cabinet right now. But in a few short months, from this beam right here across, we will have a wall. And over there where that curtain is going to be a stage. We will have a bar roughly right about here. This is where the bar will be, and we will have a permanent camera right up here pointed towards the stage where we will be able to do live Friday night concerts every week from the distillery. This is our wet wall where we bring in our captured rainwater from, see that tank out there? That is one of our 10,000 gallon rainwater capture tanks. We bring in the rainwater through the pipes. They go get UV filtered, come back and get our reverse osmosis filtered. We capture the rainwater in our water tower here, which then goes over to our pots for boiling of our grains. And that is our grain mill, which grinds the grains. These 2 totes are our fermenters, which will stand in until we get cedar fermenters to replace them with. So there they are. That, my friends, is where we do our business. This is where we make the whiskey throughout the distillery. It is not a huge place. It's 3,500 square feet total, but it will be the tasting room area will be all of about 600 square feet, and it is more than enough for the magic to happen here at the shop. There. Get you back down there. Get you back down here. So there it is. That is the distillery. And like I said, in a few short months, we will have live regular shows coming from this very place here at the shop. And I'm coming to you right now live from the Coralie Baker Memorial Table. This is my grandma's old table. I had many a meal of chicken spaghetti at this table when I was a kid in Natchez, Louisiana. It was pretty fucking amazing. But there you go. Acts 4:12. That's a new name. I haven't seen Axe 412 before. That's cool.
Axe 412 is a man, and his wife is Natural Biz, something like that. And they're Canadian. On their channel, they do a bunch of singing live streams.
Oh,
Canadian. And they're
Canadian.
very funny, and they're really awesome people. You'd probably get along with them.
I know, like the powers that be are really upset about my stupid rant about Canadians.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna. No, like that. Like they're all worried about Mexicans coming over here and taking our jobs. We don't need to worry about Mexicans. They look different than us. They sound different than us. You can pick them out in the crowd. It's the Canadians. They look like us. They talk like us. They come in here. They take our jobs. You don't even know they're Canadian until like 3 or 4 months after you meet them. And they're like, oh, hey, what's that all about? You're like, what? You're Canadian. You've been Canadian this whole time.
That's what I used to, speaking of that scenario.
It's the dumbest joke ever. Like,
I know, but speaking of that, I used to not realize Michael J. Fox was Canadian.
I know, right?
Because he didn't have an accent.
They walk among us, they talk among us, they act like they're one of us, and then next thing you know, you're looking at them and you're like, why do you have yellow shoelaces? And they're like, oh, because I'm from Manitoba, eh? You're like, what the fuck? You've been from Manitoba this whole time? How am I supposed to know? What? Oh my God.
Exactly.
And then you start questioning everything about what you know, because these people that you know and love and worked with all your life are actually immigrants. And oh my God. No.
Exactly. It's like, have you ever noticed, like, you can't always tell that people are immigrants. Like, what's his name?
It's
the guy who sings It's Not Unusual. What's his name?
That's
Tom Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, when he sings, he sounds like an American. So most of my life, I'm like,
turns out
wow,
really
he's
French.
a good American singer. And then I heard him speak, and I'm like, he's not from here. So you just never know. So the point is, don't get hyped up.
That's what the whole point of the stupid dumb rant is like, if they look
right, don't get hyped up.
See, it's the ones that look different that we're upset about. We don't really give a shit about the ones from Scandinavia, because the ones from Scandinavia look like us.
They look like us, Joe, and we're good because
or American Scandinavia, folks. Which is Canada.
Because we're the pale folks. That's why we're not the chocolate skinned. We're pale.
But the whole point is, we love our neighbors. I love them. It's great. Some of my favorite people are, of course, from Guatemala. So there you go.
Well, my best friend is from Venezuela.
Venezuela?
Don't tell
That's the authoritarian socialists. They're trying to make us all communists. We're all going to die because of healthcare. That's how you get Venezuela.
Well, actually, my friend lives in Chile now.
I could seriously do with some communist healthcare. Anyway.
But it's very bizarre.
Because so dumb.
We became friends when our political leaders didn't like each other. When Chavez and Bush were president, and we became friends. I'm like, so really half of the things the politicians harp about, we're all humans at the end of the day. We should just love each other.
That's like I've always said. We're not polarized. Our politicians are polarized. We're not. We all want the same thing. We want to grow up. We want our kids to grow up. We want to have roofs. We want to have jobs or work. We want to be, we want to have hope for the future. That's it. That's all we want. We're normal people. Normal people want normal things. And most of us are pretty much in agreement with that.
And you're not that much different from me. And we come from completely different parts of the world culturally in some ways. And yet we get along.
We also, one thing, 3 of my favorite days on the calendar, New Year's, July 4th, and Christmas is one of them. But Independence Day and July 4th are 2 of my favorite days on the calendar because they celebrate the things we have in common most.
Firework loving, barbecue eating,
blowing shit up, and hope for the future. But when I did my July 4th special, we talk about the common values, and I read the Declaration of Independence. We talk about our common values, that all men are created equal, not all citizens or not all Americans, that all men, like everybody, is created equal, and we're all endowed with unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not just those three rights. Among our rights that we're endowed with, there's these three. And we have the shared values, and those shared values are common across cultures and across borders. And one of my favorite things about our shared values as Americans is that we don't recognize those rights as being inherent to American citizens. We recognize those rights as being inherent to human beings all across the country. And
I think we forget that.
That's why Independence Day is one of my favorite civic holidays, because it's a day that we can remind ourselves that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, including Australians, including Samoans, including Canadians, even the French, the
natives,
the Germans, Nigerians, Grenada, everybody. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed with inalienable rights. And I love that about our common value as a people. That is the baseline of Americans. So even when you show up at a fence on our southern border, we recognize that you, as a human being, are endowed with certain inalienable rights.
But do you really think we recognize that? Because sometimes I think
we don't always live up to our values, but over the long course of history, we strive to achieve them. And that is what makes, that's the American ideal, and that's what makes us exceptional, as long as we're continuing to try to live up to that. And that is why that is one of my, that's why that's like my favorite holiday, is we take a day to remind ourselves of that when we're doing it right. And the New Year's Day, of course, is the day of hope. Everything you start fresh, you turn the calendar date, and you move forward. A fresh coat of snow makes everything pure. That sort of thing. And then I have a few other favorite holidays, but those are probably my top two. Civic holidays.
That's cool.
Now, of course, the religious holidays, we have our own personal religious holidays that everybody enjoys, and that they're open for your own personal interpretation. But
exactly,
civic holidays, civic holidays are very important for people, and we should keep those. But we have passed the 2-hour, 30-minute mark, Moose Cow.
Right.
Let me find your channel and plug it. Would you like new subscribers?
Sure.
Yeah. So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to Moose Cow's channel. What is Moose Cow's Corner, right?
That's correct. Moose Cow's Corner.
O-0-O-S-E.
But the one O is capitalized. I just didn't do it when I'm on here.
It's a capital O, not a zero?
I believe they're supposed to be O's.
You're something, man.
Look, what's her name? Damn it, Jenna and Lone Star and a bunch of people were saying one time it was hard to find my name because I was Moose Gal, one word. And I put an extra O so people would notice me in chat. But for the YouTube, it wasn't popping up. So they told me to capitalize it. Similar to how Lone Star capitalizes the S in his name.
Okay. There you are, Moose Gal's Corner. I've got you.
Thank you.
We're going to plug this channel. You got 261 subscribers. Let's see if we can get you 262.
I used to have 262.
No.
I fluctuate every day. It's like it goes between the two numbers.
And of course, if you're watching, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, subscribe to our channel. Push me up over 500 so I can spend the night in a haunted cemetery.
See how you typed my channel? That's originally how my name was. Just like that.
Yeah, cool.
But I never changed it.
Oh, yeah, I can see that now. It's a capital O, not a zero.
I think the S, what I meant to say was, I think the address cannot be changed from the HTTP part because I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Yeah,
I can only edit a change.
You've got to
So
go into
people
your
get confused.
channel settings on Google. That's fine.
So it's funny when people send me a package or something in the mail, they put my old channel name. So one time my father's like, "Who's this package for?" And I said, "It's for me." He goes, "Your name's not on it. It's some Indian name, Moose something or other." I'm like, "Oh
That's
yeah, that
hilarious.
was my channel name."
All right. Well, Moose Gal, tell everybody good night.
Good night.
All right. I'll see you over on Lone Star's channel.
Alrighty.
All right. Good night, Moose Gal. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, thank you so much for joining in for tonight's fun-tabulous visit to the distillery because our internet at home is horked. Now, let me leave you with this, my own 2 cents. Like, we're good people, like, in general. Like, most people you interact with are decent people. They want nothing more than just to get on with their life and move forward. There are monsters out there. Don't get me wrong. There are monsters. We try not to interact with them. We try to avoid them. You have no obligation to interact with and participate in the world with monsters. By all means, separate yourself from them. It's not hard to do. Take your drink, leave the table, go to another place. Just disassociate with yourself or from them as best you can. And work with the people. Set your community standards. Set your own personal community standards. Set them in such a way that you're making your own world better, and you're making others' worlds better, and you're participating in a valuable way to your community. And for God's sake, live up to your ideals for yourself. Cheers to all of y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time probably from the pandemic studio back home. More than likely. Cheers and good night. Boop.